far more times than I've succeeded. Far more. You will never succeed more than you fail. That's not how it works. You know why? Because failure is a wonderful teacher. It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful. I tell people this all the time. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world, he took 946 game-winning shots. 946 times since he was in high school, the ball has been in his hand to take the game-winning shot with no time on the clock. He has only made 146 of those. He has missed over 700 times, but he has made 146. You know what they write about? When he make it. They write about when you make it. So guess what? When you get through failing, all you got to do is make it.
I like to use that as proof that failures are not important. Only successes happen, and large successes. Now, the difference is the following. Most people avoid risk so much in their life, they fail to try things. When I say I'd rather try and fail than fail to try. And most people who are not entrepreneurs, and that's most of the people, they don't try things and they don't take risks. If you don't take risks, if there's no risk involved, there's nothing new involved. It just goes by definition. Right. So to me, failure to take risk is failure to try anything new. And if you're afraid of your failures, you're not going to try new things, you're never going to innovate. You might get lucky, and there's people who do get lucky, and there's exceptions to all these rules. But there's a Harvard Business School case that sort of starts with a quote from me that says, "My willingness to fail is what gives me the ability to succeed."
I like that.
My willingness to fail, because otherwise I wouldn't have tried all these things.
One lesson I learned over the past 18 years, especially after I came to Silicon Valley, I would say the courage. You got to have a courage to try. Even if you might fail, that's okay. Try again. Fail, try again. And if you are patient, work hard, keep trying, someday you will be successful.
Okay. But having said that, I tell many entrepreneurs, give yourself a chance to get lucky. Now, what I mean by that is give yourself more time, try more things. In the parlance of sports, and I'm a hockey fan, a San Jose Sharks hockey fan, I say take more shots on goal. If you take more shots on goal, you're likely to get more lucky. When you're running out of money, if you extend your runway or find a way to hang on by your bare knuckles, and those of you who are real entrepreneurs, you've seen all this and seen the low side of the roller coaster. The longer you go and the more creative you get about trying more things, you give yourself a shot on goal, a chance to get lucky. It's an essential part of entrepreneurship that people sometimes don't understand. You can do all the right things and still not succeed. You're an entrepreneur. You're more likely to fail than succeed, right? That's true. Most startup companies fail. They don't succeed. And even the ones that do succeed near failed so many times. At Sun, we almost ran out of money multiple times because there was one technical problem that kept us from shipping for 60 or 90 days, and we were barely hanging on.
To run a company is more like you play sports. Number one thing, you want to win. That's really, really important. Number two, you got to work hard, right? Organize the best team, work hard every day, deliver happiness to your customers, and also have fun. And then you'll be successful.
The earliest I left the office, those 90 days, was like 3 a.m. And I'd be back there by 6 a.m. So you go through that. If you read the story of Tesla, it almost drove Elon Musk bankrupt. Now, today, that sounds like a great story. I'll bet you he didn't feel great back then.
Talk about this often, and we always talk about the fact that you can learn a lot more from the failures than you can from the successes. And you have to figure out where those landmines are, and then how to best avoid those, or help entrepreneurs, and ourselves included, figure out the clues of where those landmines are. You know, not that you're going to avoid all of them,
right?
But it's also when you do step on one, figuring out, okay, how do you recuperate? How do you balance back?
And those of you who are entrepreneurs appreciate that. That's why I call entrepreneurship a roller coaster, where the highs are high, but the lows are stomach-churning, hard, painful,
depressing, right?
Depressing, all those things. And my advice to you entrepreneurs is, when that happens, find ways to hang on, find ways to ask intelligent questions of what haven't you tried, what have you assumed that's not true, that can change the trajectory.
Because
I've had in my career probably a total of, I've been to over 200 pitch meetings to pitch ideas in Hollywood. Out of those 200, they have picked 5 of them. 200 meetings, 200 show ideas, they've picked 5 of them. But you know what them 5 was? Hits. So you know what they made me? A star. I only had 5. I only hit 5. The rest of the shows I had somebody thought of and asked me to be on the show, and I might have turned it into a hit. But I've only been picked, 5 of my ideas got picked. In 33 years, 5 ideas got picked. All I need is 5 hits. That's all. Y'all don't even know I was in them other meetings. They don't write about it. They just write about my hits. You just need a hit, man. So when you fail, it's a part of the process. Keep going. You're supposed to fail. Shit, who you know that gets it right all the time? That's impossible. You have to fail. Matter of fact, when you fail, be glad about it. Every time you fail, you're one step closer. So every time you fail, say, whew, got that out the way. Go to the next one. Fail again, okay, I got 2 out the way. What's gonna happen is, if you just keep swinging, you're gonna get a hit. A baseball player gets paid millions and millions of dollars for a 300 batting average. That means out of every 10 times he goes to the plate, he only hits the ball 3 times. They're millionaires. They only hit it 3 times. Man.
I think entrepreneurship is about imagining the impossible.
Right.
Or, so, look, if something was normally doable, or most people thought was doable, people would do it. Somebody would already have done it. So you start with, I always say, what I love about entrepreneurs is they imagine the possible, and sometimes the impossible, and they take the impossible, they turn it into possible, then maybe it just becomes improbable, but possible, and then you go from improbable to probable to then making it happen. This is the journey of entrepreneurship, and this is why failure rates are so high, and it can be so stomach-churning to ride this roller coaster. I push my kids to succeed. I don't want their life to be comfortable. I want it to be achievement-oriented. I want to be their friend, but more than that, I want them to push them to succeed, put more effort in, strive more, try more things.
Right.
Doesn't miss shots. Where he has failed before? More than once? Who here does not like failing? Well, no buzzword gets more attention or is more widely desired than the word success. People are spending hours, months, years in the search for success. The reality is, not all achieve it. Or at least, not all persist long enough to achieve it. Because of one fundamental element of success: failure. All of you has raised your hands. All of you have failed before. I have failed many times before. And that is a fundamental part of success. The question then is, which one is greater? My desire to succeed or my fear to fail?
Well, yeah,
Sorry about
I'm pulling from there here. So there's one thing that you do talk a lot about, which is that you do push the entrepreneurs to succeed, and we all try and we want them to succeed. But if they fail, that's just as important. And you speak a lot about this, and it's probably the most important part in terms of the learning curve. So when I see an entrepreneur and we meet them, we talk to them first about their failure. We want to know how they failed, what they did with that, how they applied those lessons. And then speaking with you, that's an integral part, don't you think? And I've heard you say this not time and again, people need to fail. You always say people need to fail.
Yeah.
And you failed, right?
Yeah.
Have you failed?
I have failed many times.
Okay.
Let me ask this question. Everybody knows I started, or most people know I started Sun. How many people know a company me and Scott McNeely, both of us started Sun, started around the same time, not far from where we are sitting. For those of you who work on that, I would encourage you to try new things, take large risks, and failure is okay. I do want to say failure is sometimes glorified too much. You don't want to fail, but you should be willing to take risks, and that might involve failure. And there is things called intelligent failure and dumb failure. Right? When you take intelligent risks, you take risks where if they succeed, you'll be successful as a company or on your mission. If they fail, you don't want them to kill you. Right? So asymmetric risks where the payoff is much larger than the loss, yet the loss in your company is sustainable.
Right? And we usually stop right there. But that's not how life works most of the time. I remember learning a lesson from a professor in California. He said, get in line and stay in line. Don't quit too early. Number 2, there's no such thing as failure. If you learned a lesson and gave your best, you succeeded. Have you thought of that before? Because we usually measure failure or success by the outcome, not by the effort. But if you've given your best, you succeeded. Robert Kiyosaki put it well when he said, sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. And we usually, when we win, we tend to party, right? But when we lose, we tend to ponder. I have a professor at BYU who has taught me a principle that at first sounded very uncomfortable. He said, and I hope my boss is not here to hear this. He said, Eduardo, go out there, get a job, get paid to make mistakes, and then go do your own thing.
Right? People I know are limited by what they think they can do, not by what they can actually do. So whenever you get into that won't work, but why not try it? You do a lot more. And if you naively believe you can do a lot more, then you will actually do a lot more. And
Playing, and I don't score 1 point the entire summer.
Really?
Not one.
How old were you?
10, 11.
And you're playing against other 10, 11-year-olds?
Uh-huh.
Or and you didn't score once?
Not one.
Were you in the game?
I was in the game.
How'd you not score?
Because I was terrible.
Really?
Yeah. That
At 10,
happened.
11 years old, you were that terrible.
Awful. I mean, and I had these big knee pads on because I was growing really fast. I had socks all the way up here, and I had like the pod top
Skinny,
fades, like skinny as hell. And I scored not a free throw, nothing, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points.
Is that when you think the mentality of hard work started to come in for you at that age, when you failed so miserably, I guess, that summer?
I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important, because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought, right? What do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot. All right, after that, all right, creating your own shot. And then you focus. So I started creating a menu of things. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. Right?
A menu being like, I've got my jump shot from 15, I've got my
I got my jump shot from
I've got
15, I got my 3-point shot, like just open shots, not miss open shots, right? Be able to shoot it with speed, because those kids are so much more athletic.
Yeah.
And then the next summer I came back, I was a little better. And the summer came back, the
scored.
next summer I was a little better. I scored.
Yeah,
it wasn't much, but I scored.
And this is 12, 13.
12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old, and then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. And I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years, but it did, because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. While they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame.
And then you're athletic.
I wish to discuss 3 principles today that, if applied, will impact our lives now and forever. Number 1, don't quit too early. Most obstacles we face are here to test our character, not to stop us. Who here has heard of NCAA coach John Wooden before? John Wooden's perhaps the greatest college basketball coach in the history of the world. He has won 12 championships, 11 of which were consecutive titles. The true personification of success, both on and off the court. But most people don't spend any time trying to understand what happened to John Wooden in his career before all that success. He went 16 years without winning anything. Now think about that. 16 years and no titles, then 12 years and 11 titles. Many people would call phase 1 of his career a failure, but he called it preparation. A common excuse that I think all of you will be able to relate to, that we often use is when something goes wrong, is, well, it didn't work out, thus it's just not meant to be.